let nothing hold me down. Gotta do it, 'cause I might not get another chance. I believe it. If I want it, I can have it. I believe it. Got me feeling and I know that I can do it. I think I'll tell myself again I can do it. And I'm not gonna stop till I win. It's my time to rise. It's my time to shine. It's my time to live. It's my time to fly. It's my time. It's my time. She's a diva, yeah. She's a diva full of drama. Don't believe it. Everything that people say and got you twisted. So much fiction, not much fact. Got you twisted. And ain't nobody got time for that. 'Cause the moment has just arrived. And I won't let it pass me by. It's my time. It's my time to shine. It's my time to live. Yeah, it's my time to fly. It's my time. It's my time. I decided that I was born to be deeply in love and happy. And my best days are still in front of me. Living in love now. It's my time. It's my time to sing. Yeah, it's my time to live. Yeah, it's my time to fly. It's my time. It's my time. Oh, it's my time to sing. It's my time to see. It's my time to be. It's my time to show. It's my time. It's my time. It's my time to rise. It's my time to shine. It's my time to live. It's my time to fly. It's my time. It's my time. It's my time. It's my time. It's my time to rise. It's my time to shine. It's my time to live. It's my time to fly. It's my time. Woo!
So wait, you're used to this, Stephanie Ann. I don't know if Jake is yet, but any day is a good day for an initiation. And so, also, by the way, I don't know if the camera's been able to get this, but it's so fun to watch Jake play like this and sing. And he's probably tapping his toes. Whoa. It's really fun. It's really fun. So just because what I know is that ideas go into the mind easier when it's accompanied by music. Because music activates a part of the brain that needs to be incorporated into an idea. Otherwise, we're logically thinking, oh, and we're saying, so we might be thinking, that's a beautiful song. I love the way Stephanie Ann sings. It's got a nice beat. Or, I agree with the words. It's one thing to hear it, observe it, be a spectator. It's another thing to sing it. That's why so many religious traditions chant and ask people to sing along. That's the real reason. So I was thinking maybe the melody, whatever that thing is called. What's that thing called? Chorus. Well, I'm being initiated too. All right, music talk. So I was thinking if we could do the chorus, and you guys, if you choose, could sing along, because that will help you incorporate these ideas. Anybody up for it? All right, so let's go. I'll follow her.
3, go!
It's my time to rise.
It's my time to shine.
It's my time to live, fly. It's my time to fly. It's my time. It's my time. Rise. It's my time to rise, shine. It's my time to shine, live. It's my time to live, fly. It's my time to fly. It's my time. It's my time.
Woo! Yeah. So the theme for this month is the power of love. And it's great, this is actually a bigger talk. I feel like I am trying to incorporate a whole elephant into 20 minutes because it's a big topic. The talk title was, Do You Love Yourself, Your Whole Self, and Nothing But Yourself, So Help You God? I do. Thank you. I'm so grateful. And it's actually based on a scripture that we can agree with, but man, it's hard to live by. I mean, it's hard for me to live by. You guys your first service, you might just have this, no big deal, and you're going, oh, well, she's just practicing for second service. They need it, but I need this talk. This is based on something that Jesus was asked by some of his Jewish friends. And they said, so what is the most important commandment? Now, you might think that there was only 10. There's 10 that we call the 10 commandments, but those were things, but there were so many rules. There were so many rules. There were so many rules about how you could really sell your children to pay your debts, how you're not to touch women at certain times, and when it was appropriate to stone others. There were rules for everything. So when asked what's the most important rule, what Jesus said is, and he was quoting or simplifying a commandment out of Deuteronomy, but what he said is, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. That is the first and greatest commandment. We'll start there. Then he went on to say, and the second commandment is like unto it, to love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Everything that has been written must support those two commandments. And if they don't support those two commandments, then maybe rethink what commandments you have. And you all have your own rules, don't you? Don't you have rules? Like they had rules. I'm really into metaphor. What is above is as above, so below. I'm into metaphor that as an individual shows up, this individual, me, influences a collective, us, and us supports and influences a greater community or sphere of influence. I can't control that. I can control me. I can't influence thousands, but I can influence you, and together we can influence thousands. So it really is, I love that idea of the mustard seed. It's not, if you have the faith in yourself and you let it grow, you will fire up the faith in others. And it's the faith in others, in God and love and potentiality that can influence a lot and can move a mountain. Actually, that just downloaded. That was like, I've never thought that before. Oof. But it makes more sense than me wanting to move Mount Hood or Mount Rainier or who would want to? Actually, there was a Eastern guru, and I forgot who he was, but he was asked about that. He said, and he was asked, Do you know that in the Christian Bible it says if you have enough faith, you can move a mountain? And the guru said, well, if you had enough faith, you'd know you're not supposed to move the mountain. I mean, the things we're just kind of have put up with, it's like, wow, how many of you have a Christian background and you've tried to juggle some of those things? Man. So let's dive into these things. Because not only do these first two commandments influence things like thou shalt not lie and thou shalt not kill and thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother, they also answer a lot of metaphysical conundrums. How am I supposed to be here? How am I supposed to do this? Hafiz said, and I'm paraphrasing, the subject tonight is love. In fact, I know of no other subject that we should cover for the rest of our lives. So I don't know of any other subject that I need to cover for the rest of my life. To dig and to grow and to dig into the ideas and to grow in these ideas, to dig into these ideas and grow into these ideas, to go deep, deep, deep and broad, broad, broad in this idea of love. So let's begin digging and see how far we can go in 25 minutes. I've just given myself 5 more minutes. Did you notice? I just looked at the topic and went, okay, it deserves another 5. Is it okay to go another 5, just in case? All right, so love the Lord thy God in your conscious connection with God. Love the Lord thy God with your conscious connection of God, because we're always connected. Some people may feel disconnected, but that's the mind that says, I'm not connected. That's part of our brain. It's a habit that says we're not connected to life when all there is life and intelligence and oneness. And spiritual practice helps us foster that connection. So the more I do something with the intention of connecting, I find that connection. Now, it's not me doing the practice that connects me. It's by doing that practice, I'm releasing and I'm letting go of the thoughts of I'm not enough, or there's this problem, or there's this issue, and they should do it differently. And how many of you have those thoughts that keep coming up? And there's the blah, 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 blah. But in the spiritual practice, like you narrow your focus. Okay, I'm going to pray and I'm going to connect with that something greater than myself. I'm going to meditate and I'm going to listen to something greater than myself. I'm going to study the words of the prophets and the saints and the sages and the mystics. And you'll know when you're studying one of those, because it won't just be good ideas, you will get the transmission. Have you noticed the difference between certain books? Certain books have these, like, I've read whole books and they're like sawdust and they have 1 or 2 good ideas. And then I've read other books like I have to chew every paragraph. That's what you want. Because then you're getting a transmission, not just an idea, which could be a regurgitated idea from something else. It was probably a good idea, but it has no transmission. You know when it is powerful because you get lifted up, something happens to you. You are getting you are being lifted by the consciousness of the writer, not just the words of the writer. And then the other spiritual practice that we teach, well, we teach 5, but another one to connect is to be of service. I mean, you get helper's high. There's drugs that go off in your head. Feels really good. But when you're doing it for the purpose of connecting, you are releasing the idea that you're doing it to someone else. And you realize you're just doing it to life itself. Yes, they have a face and they have a name and they have a history, but you are serving the divine. Mother Teresa, how could Mother Teresa do what she did? How could she go into the slums and pick up babies off the streets that had been abandoned by their parents? How could she hold a dying person? Because all she saw was the face of Christ. Now, I realize that not all of us have an aptitude for all of those practices. And when I was doing this last night, I realized I want to redo a workshop I did a long time ago so that you can find your spiritual practice. Because too many people try to meditate when that's not their deal. And too many people try to pray when that's not their deal either. And when you find your deal, it's like you hunger for it. And it helps you connect. But that's another talk. That's something we need to spend more time on. So, when we start to practice, and this is very important, when we start to practice and connect, it's very important to not just connect to God within us. You know, I think in New Thought we put a lot of emphasis on the kingdom of heaven is within, God within, and we start to imagine ourselves as little, light bulbs, radiating out light to everyone. And it's not a bad metaphor, but it's not a complete metaphor. The word that was used as in the Aramaic that Jesus may have used for the kingdom of heaven is within, it also meant among. It's not just in here, it's around us. And one of the mystics that I'm studying right now said, one of the problems with the world is that even when they start to contact God and get a personal God, it's such a personal God that it's not a universal God. So there's still division. So I want to share with you a practice that might help you break down that division. So just become comfortable if you choose. If you choose. And this practice is for the purpose of not becoming egocentric. Because sometimes we can be so centric, the ego gets fed, and it becomes egocentric. There's a book, and I'm not sure if it's downstairs, but if it is, grab it. And it's called Finding the Quiet. And in this, the meditation teacher asks us to meditate and go within, and he says, but that's not enough. You have to meditate and go without. So it's not just deep, it's also broad, because God's not just within you or just within that person. The God in me sees the God in you, so we're like little God things jumping around. No, it's all divine. Everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. So practice to get there is to breathe, but have a focus point. Have a really soft focus in front of you. Soft focus, not... think about it. If you focus too much, what do we call that? Tunnel vision? No, we don't want tunnel vision. So it's a soft focus in front, eyes open. Now, keep the focus in front of you and be aware of the periphery. Be aware, see how far you can get your fingers and still be aware of your fingers even though you're not looking at them. The more you do that, now I don't see any fingers. See how far you can go back and still see your fingers. This is good for a driving test, by the way. But the more you can do that, the more you can see your fingers and concentrate on, you see you're expanding your awareness. Everything is holy now. Now, you don't have to wiggle your fingers, but just sit there for, let's say, 15 seconds. With soft focus, and yet with awareness that is broad. We become what we're aware of. And when we become aware of this, in our brain, we're actually telling ourselves there's so much to be grateful for. You'll start to notice that as you do that, your whole body will start to simmer down because it'll feel at home. It's not on its own. It's not on its own. Everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Jesus went on to say that those people who don't know God as love don't know God at all. So it's one thing to know a presence. The more you know that presence, though, the more you will know love. The more we connect with that infinite intelligence, that loving essence, the more we will know it as love. So, love changes everything. La 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 la, la la la. Somebody put that on the Facebook page, and so if you're a member, get that, because it's by Andrew Lloyd Webber, and that's all I know. But it's all I need to know. Love changes everything, but it's not romantic Hallmark love. You know, I was thinking about this when I was driving in, because I wanted to ask you how many of you felt being in love? How many of you have felt just how it changed you? When you're in love, it changes you. Now, and then I remember, because God just talks to me in the car, and it's very funny, and it says, you know, most of the time you didn't know love. You knew obsession. And I'm like, why do you bring that up now? How many of you see? In retrospect, you know the difference. In retrospect, one's love and it builds you up. One's not love and it eats you up. That's the difference. And the more we court, the more we will shift into love. I've heard, there was Rod Romney. Do you remember Rod Romney? Does anybody remember Rod Romney? He was a Baptist minister. And we studied with him when I was in ministerial school because he was so open-minded. And I said, how could you be a Baptist and think this way? And he says, well, you know, if you spend enough time with God, God changes you, and all you can do is be accepting and embracing of everyone. See, we wanted to legislate shift. But what if we were the seed of shift? What if we were the mustard seed of love? And I love so much. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. I love myself so much that even when I sing off key, I don't care what you think of me, because I can love me so much. Does that make sense? Yeah. See, we start and then people are shifted around you. You know, my grandmother was so sweet. I was sweet around her and no place else. That's what it's like. We become, I love this. This is Emma Curtis Hopkins' words. We become contagious. It's not a thought. It's a contagion. Because we're doing our practice and God has its way with us. And then we can move into loving ourselves. Now, I'm putting loving ourselves, and this is the real subject today, because some people want to skip from loving God or being loved by God to loving others. But that's a bad skip. Because how many of you have heard of projection? Very biblical. You know, I was listening to a podcast about how I'm not going to get into it. It's a whole Bible thing. I need to have Kathianne unplugged someday. And we just sit and talk about weird stuff that happened with the Bible, such as backdated prophecies and stuff like that they can now prove. But anyway, somebody wrote this and put it in Jesus' mouth, and it was perfect and so inspired. Don't try to take the splinter out of your neighbor's eye because it's a reflection of your own plank. I mean, whoa! Projection. Gosh, I just have all these musical things. Projection, kind of like tradition, but never mind. I don't know what I'll be like second service. But it doesn't matter. See, projection is that if I have something that I don't like about myself, I might hide it, but boy, I'm going to hate it in you. And the opposite is true too. There might be something that is so lovable and so wonderful and so majestic inside myself, but I don't own it. So I project it onto others and I worship them. I idolize them. I put them on a pedestal. Oh, they're so cool. But because I haven't owned it in myself, eventually I will resent them for being that way, for the way that I made them in my own image, and I'll tear them down. Man, if we just read the Bible for psychological wisdom and health, we'd be a better group of people, because that's good stuff. So if we don't honor our whole, this is what I said, if we don't love ourselves, our whole self, yea, and nothing but ourselves, we're in trouble. That means we get to love our quirks. Those things we've been trying to heal. Those aspects of ourselves that we've kept closeted. And unfortunately, if we don't love that, we just are living the Groundhog's Day movie over and over and over again, because they just keep tripping us up over and over and over again. So, I talked about, speaking of Groundhog's Day, I talked about looking at the things that bug you and those faults you think you have, and realizing that they originally were invented by us to protect us in some way, and they had original good intentions. And so we just love this. I love you, Kathianne, that you get this way, and I love you, Kathianne, that you get this way, and I love you, Kathianne, that you get this way. And you just embrace that part of you and just keep bringing it in and loving it. I mean, there's a part of me that I really hated about myself, because I could get so anxious and fearful when I was riding my horse. And I didn't like that, because I used to just, not have any fear riding horses, fall off, get back on again. It's like, woohoo, baby girl. Yeah. Never broke a thing. I was so proud. And now I'm really anxious, and I realized I had to honor that anxiety, because guess what? I don't want to fall off and break something. Just because I haven't broke anything doesn't mean I won't break anything. And a little bit of hesitancy is not a bad thing. Do you see how I can embrace? So I'd love you to just get your body involved. What's something about you that you just wish were not around? It just, that whole wonderful song we sang, it's like, my time to shine, my time to stand up, my time to live. It's like, I want to go like this. And there's a part of you goes, no, don't do it. Just stay here where we're safe. How many of you have one of those? Okay, just embrace it. Just imagine embracing it. Just imagine embracing it. Because its intention for you is good. Its intention is good. And love changes everything. Actually, when I embraced my hesitancy and my fear of writing, it gave me an idea of how I could be a better writer and stay safer, and then it went away. So, love yourself and nothing but yourself. Because when you're filled with love, it will spill over on its own. Love will spill over on its own. And you don't seek for love in this way or that way or this way or that way. You just seek love. I've told this story before, but I love it so much I have to tell it again. And then I'm going to actually tell you a new story I don't think I've ever said on the stage. You get new stuff. Ram Dass, not on drugs. He had been on drugs. Then he found meditation, and he found his guru. And he said, God, this is just like that LSD I took. I'm like tripping. This meditation stuff is really wonderful. Oh, wow. And he was driving from California to the East Coast to see his father. And he was just meditating and singing and chanting and getting higher and higher and higher on love and higher. And he says, I was just flying. In fact, I was flying so much I got stopped by a policeman for going way too fast. And the policeman pulled me over. And so here's this hippie dude, and this must have been, maybe 60s, late 60s, hippie dude, straight-laced policeman, pulls him over, dilapidated car. Let me see your license. And he said, I looked up at this policeman and I loved him. I just loved him. Now, he wasn't in love. He loved him. And he said, it must have been catching because he kept asking me questions about my car and kept looking at my license and checking the car out, making sure it was safe, and then sent me off with a warning. He just said that love is catching. It's transferable. It's a transmission. It's contagious. There was a time I wanted to be married. And I was, it was 25 years ago again, I guess 24 years ago. And so I was willing to try anything. I was buying Wiccan books on how to have a potion, create a potion for love, and told to light a candle and watch it burn down, and when it was burned, he'd be here. And it's like, I was just doing everything. Everything. And finally I just said, okay, God, I don't care. I just want love. I just want love. And I fell in love. In fact, people would actually say to me, oh, Kathianne, what's different with you? And I say, I'm in love. And they'd say, with who? I don't know yet. I don't know yet. But I felt that feeling. I got what Ram Dass was getting at. I would look at some clerks and I'd go, wow, you're beautiful. And I just kept it to myself. But they should have been told they were beautiful. They might have made their day. But so I'm having this existential experience of love, and then I'm getting kind of pissed. Because nobody's showing up to receive all this love that I'm emitting. I'm really mad. And in love. I'm mad. Well, I'm mad at God and in love. Mad at God for being in love. And so I lived in a condo in Pioneer Square at the time. And I got out of the elevator, and I'm still having this conversation with God. And so here's a kind of a lobby with all the elevators, and I'm standing in the lobby, and I'm having this discussion in my mind with God. And I said, so here I am in love, and who am I supposed to love? And literally I heard the voice, you can love anybody. I can love anybody? Are you anybody? I draw the line on anybody. And I remembered some of the guys that I'd been dating previously, and I brought them to mind to prove to God that I couldn't love them. How many of you play those games with God? I play these games with God. And so I would bring up these people that were really, I brought them into mind, and I could love them. I brought the other one up into mind. I could love them. I went, oh, shit, I could love anybody. I mean, this was my thought. It's like, are you kidding me? And this is important because I'm in front of 4 elevators, and I said, so I'm just supposed to love the first person that shows up in the elevator? Oh, God was so good. It said, no, Kathianne. You can love anyone, but you get to choose who to play with for the rest of your life. See, it's still about compatibility. With 8 billion people right now, yes, we can love all of them. And we're not going to hang out with all of them. We still have free choice. I don't want to be out on a boat. Good thing. Susan got Ray, and a whole bunch of people don't want to scoop horse stuff. Good thing I ended up with Tim. Do you see how it all can work out? But it's love that will draw to you the right person to play with, the right family occasions for you all to get along in, the right clients, the right customers, the right opportunities. Love will draw the perfect circumstances and partnership through which you can shine and rise up and glorify the presence of love within you. You are here to be supported just as nature supports itself, so that every one of those little beautiful things can rise up and shine. And love will change everything.